Hello everyone, today we have new video review, and as you can see, this time we are going to talk about this kit from Eduard. It's a weekend edition set in 1/48 scale, and it copies Tempest Mk.V Series 2, so British fighter, and weekend edition should offer you a bit more accessible price, and also you won't get PE parts and masks, you will have to buy them separately, but obviously that's what actually makes the whole set cheaper, but you still get a nice plastic, so it will be interesting to see what is supplied here. And straight away on the box art you can see two markings which are included into this set. We all know that modern weekends offer more markings, but this is I would say the classic one because of the blue boxing. That's why we have only two markings inside. And box size, as you can see, is standard for Eduard sets. Here you can see comparison with my hand. We have really nice box art of the aircraft in a flight, and on this side we have some information about the manufacturer. Of course, it is made in Czech Republic, and on the opposite side you can see profiles for two marking options which you saw on the box art, and of course small chart of the paints you will need for the whole build. So this is a top opening box. And here is what we have inside. So package is a bit on the tight side, I would say, because as you can see, clear Sprue has all the chances to touch the top lid, but everything looks fine, and I do not see any broken off parts. So we have also clear part for the fuel tanks. But we are going to start with the clear Sprue because it was on the top, so that's why. Just give me a sec to take it out. Here it is. So here we have canopy parts, and all these clear parts look really nice, but once again I remind you that we have a weekend edition set here, so there are no masks included, and in case you would like to cover these parts with something, you'll have to get an aftermarket set from Eduard, or you'll have to cut masks with your own hands. Some modders are okay with that, some modders would like to speed up the assembly process and they get the aftermarket set, but in this case I think maybe it's better to consider the Profi pack, because here you won't get the PE parts which are supplied in a Profi pack. Next we continue with a single plastic bag where all sprues are packed, and this is a resealable plastic bag. Just give me a sec to open it as well, and we will take a closer look together. I can see that, yeah, now it's easy to open. We have plenty of gray plastic sprues here, so it will be interesting to see what we are getting in this weekend edition kit. So first of all, one more clear Sprue. This one is dedicated to fuel tanks, as you can see, external fuel tank. And do not be confused with the clear plastic. It's a still nice part which should look good on the aircraft. And frankly speaking, I'm not sure why it was done clear. I think there was a part or a section of the fuel tank which was transparent on the real aircraft. That's why it was decided to make whole assembly clear, but correct me if I'm wrong, write it in the comment section. Here we continue with wing parts. Overall design is more or less standard, I would say, so we have two top panels and one bottom. Note that ailerons are molded separately, but flaps are molded in, so in case you would like to have drop flaps, you'll have to get a PE set which is sold separately. Let's zoom in. Here you can see that we have recessed panel lines and rivets. Everything looks really nice, so it might be a wise idea to bring out these features so that they won't get lost under several layers of paint and primer. And of course inside you can see that we have some features for main wheel wells. We also have guiding pins which are really important in case of such big wing parts, and so that you understand the size, here is comparison with my hand. This is a really big aircraft, even in 1/48 scale. Okay, next we continue with fuselage halves. Both are molded together with tail fin, so as you can see, rudder is separate, but we have cooling and air intake pre-molded, so here you will have to keep track of the alignment of these parts, because it's really easy to get some gaps, even though plastic is really, I would say, good managed, and I would say it's designed in such way so that you won't get any mistakes here. Still, it's better to keep track of these dangerous areas which are visible on the finished kit. Again, we have recessed panel lines and rivets here. The same applies to this fuselage half obviously, and inside we have some minor cockpit features which will be improved with separately molded parts. Again, we do not have PE parts included here, so in case you would like to have a bit more detailed cockpit, you can consider the aftermarket PE set from Eduard, or maybe go even further with a Brushing upgrade set, which will completely replace the standard cockpit and introduce some new features which are not replicated in original plastic. In my opinion, this is something to consider, especially if you are going for a really detailed copy of the aircraft. Here we continue with a sprue which is dedicated to mix of various parts, because for example here you can see cockpit walls, we also have landing gear wheels, and we have missiles which are molded together with the missile racks. So again, we can zoom in so that you can see everything closer. Molding quality looks fine. Obviously you can replace landing gear with the resin. It's sold separately, but it will give you some additional features which are not here. For example, you have the tire walls features only on one of the types, while landing gear wheels in a Brushing set offer these writings in all types, so it's something to consider. But again, even out of the box build should look gorgeous, because as you can see, we have a lot of features included as a standard thing, so you don't have to get some aftermarket set in order to replicate this or that. You have to get aftermarket set if you would like to have more. And here we continue with Sprue, which carries mix of parts for example, a radiator intake. Here we have cockpit floor, we have some parts for wheel wells, landing gear legs, some parts for exhausts, and a lot of small parts. So as for the small parts, I will zoom in so that you understand what I'm talking about. Some of these elements will require usage of tweezers, because it's really tricky to get them into the right spot with bare fingers, so be sure to have the right tools, because otherwise it will be almost impossible. And note that we are given two types of instrument panels, so one is with pre-molded dials, one is plain. Obviously plain version should be used with PE parts, and pre-molded dials, they will be handy with decals, which I'm not sure if they're supplied here. But of course you can paint dials with your sharp brush. And the last gray plastic sprue is dedicated to some fuselage sections. So as you can see, we have tail wings, we have also coaming panel here, and we also have bulkheads for the front and rear, propeller hubs, one-piece propellers, which are really big. As you can see, they're molded as one-piece parts. That's also great, because you won't have to waste your time trying to get the right alignment between these large blades. Here we have separate rudder and elevators. So everything looks cool. We have recessed panel lines and rivets here. If you flip it over, you can notice that we have guiding elements for example, for tail wings, so it will be easy to combine them together. And overall, it looks like a well-thought design, which will be pleasant to assemble. Next, we continue with a plastic bag with decal sheets. Actually, there is one decal sheet from what I can see, so I'm going to open it right now. But straight away, it is safe to say that decals are printed in Eduard, so you don't have to worry about printing quality. Everything should be fine. And here it is. So we zoom in, first of all we close the camera and then we zoom in. Here you can see that we have separation between main symbols and also stencils here. And also we have some decals for the cockpit, so we have seat belts and instrument panel dials. So for some modelers it will be more than enough, because cockpit will get some, I would say, main features, and it will look good, especially if you plan to close the canopy on your aircraft and not to open it on your model. And of course, again, I will repeat myself that printing quality is also good, so it's just a matter of careful application and you will have nice finish on your aircraft model. Next, we continue with assembly manual. So this one comes in old style for the weekend kids. Why? Because here on the first page we have short history note, and next, straight away we start with the parts map. Note that blue color means unused parts, and there are plenty of them, so be sure to use the right versions for your aircraft. Everything starts with the cockpit. So we start with the pilot seat, and then we install all this stuff on the cockpit floor, various control elements. Of course, you can assemble instrument panel with decals or paint it. Next, we continue working on the cockpit walls. Then we join everything together with the front bulkhead. As you can see here, we start assembling the air intake radiator. And there are some parts which should be installed only for particular markings, so pay attention for the camouflage you choose for your build. Next, we continue with the main wheel wells. It's quite simple, even though it might look that you have to install a lot of parts into this almost invisible area. Maybe it would be a wise idea to show it somehow, maybe with mirror stand, who knows. Next, we continue by joining wing house together, and then we install wing and fuselage into the right spot from what I can see. Why I'm a bit confused, because I'm trying to understand why we're working on the tail area only on this step. It's almost in the middle of the assembly manual. Next, we install these ailerons, which are molded separately. I hope you remember. Tail landing gear, main landing gear, and of course do not forget about the right alignment between these parts. As I said, you can assemble the open or closed canopy, so as you can see we have the option here and here. And next we continue with fuel tanks. And that's pretty much all. So next we have marking guides. This aircraft is from July 1945, this one is from autumn 1944. And for this one you will have to use some additional parts. And on the last page we have a stenciling guide for the aircraft. It's a 1/48 scale aircraft, so do not be lazy, apply all these symbols, because it will be a noticeable difference once you get all these tiny writings on your model. So all in all, we get a really attractive offer. It should be already available on official Eduard website. Of course, I will be happy to hear your opinion about such a release. Write it here in the comment section below. If you like this video, do not forget to press the like button, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and I will see you in the next video review as usual. Thank you for joining me today, and bye!